Wait, white. Hello, everyone. Valerie Diamond runs Quest for Valley Community TV. Today, we're speaking with Casp, a facilitator, speaker, and multi award winning hip hop artist who's been in the industry for over 20 years. How are you doing, Casp?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing?
I'm doing
Thanks.
very well. Thank you for asking. Right, let's jump right into this interview. So, the first question: how do you cultivate safe spaces for youth?
Oh, I do my best to make sure they're all included. I make sure their voice is heard. I make sure there's no judgments, and I listen with my eyes and my ears and my whole heart itself. And I always make sure that they feel accepted in any way possible.
Okay, I'm really glad to hear that. Second question: how how can how can we have hard conversations in a healthy way?
It's being real. It's being legit. Really focusing on not really focusing on what's wrong all the time, but always coming up with a solution to the hard conversations. Rather it be addictions, rather it be there's abuse, mental, emotional, physical, whatever it is. But
Okay,
it's being 100% real. That's what I believe.
all right. I'm really glad to hear that. The more real, the better, I'd say.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, this one's a toughie. How do we approach men who disrespect or harm Indigenous women and girls? How do we normalize that culture?
Well, you let them know that A, it's okay to share your feelings, and B, you ask, so what's going on in your life? What's going on where, you don't have that respect or that mutual respect for the life givers, right? And for me, growing up the way I grew up with my mom not being around, not because she was, abandoned me or anything like that, but when I was little, I had no idea. I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
But my dad being an addict and being a pimp, and so that was my role model for how to treat women and how to not have a healthy relationship. So it took years, and every day is work, 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 work. No matter if it's mental, emotional, fine, guys, spiritual. And I believe that if you relearn, you have to. Yoda says it's amazing. He says you must unlearn what you learned. So all the stuff that I learned, I had to say, okay, you know what? These are our life givers. We got to be respectful. We got to do our best to, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, align ourselves with that respect. And I believe that it starts with at the home. It starts with how we treat our women at home, and it's leading by example. And believe a big part of it is speaking from the heart and connecting with yourself, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, to have those
Mm-hmm.
hard conversations, right? Because if
Okay.
you go from an attacking place, then you're going to get attacking results. But if you go from a loving, caring place and saying, so what's really going on, then that's how we could have those conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you. And
no problem.
just like a general respect for anyone, really, like especially our women. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to be life givers to deserve respect. And I
Exactly.
believe that. Yeah.
And in order to have that respect, you got to respect yourself, right? You got to, yes, I am speaking. And so, sorry. And so it's all in how we treat people, whether it be self-identified, whether it be two-spirited. It's how you treat people. You treat people how you want to be treated. But I always tell people, you teach people how to treat you, right?
Of course, I agree.
Yeah,
This streamlines almost directly into my next question.
nice.
Why is it important for men to speak their piece and share their stories with friends, relatives, or even a therapist?
Because if you get stuck in here, it's dangerous. If you get stuck in your head, that's the worst place you can be. So you have to talk about whatever's happening, whatever's going on, and lead by example. I got two young men in the background; those are my sons. And so if I'm the, you know, act angry, get mad, not talk about it, not say, "Hey, this is how you made me feel," they're not going to know. So I do my best to tell my kids, "Hey, this is how you made me feel," or I ask them, "How do you feel?" So it's initiating the dialogue. So when I
Mm-hmm.
do work with excuse me, when I do work with men's groups or young men group or even everybody, I always ask them, what are you doing for yourself to give yourself medicine, and what are you holding on to that's not serving you purpose? And 9 times out of 10, It's not allowing themselves to cry, to speak their feelings, and then I encourage that. So it's having those discussions.
Okay, good. Next question. How can we encourage communities to connect with Indigenous practices on the land?
It's adapting. Like I know I grew up in foster care. I was in about 33 foster homes and 13 group homes, and it was a
Yep.
horrible experience. But
Yes.
I can focus on the negative and be like, oh my god, this was so bad, or I could say, this is what I need to do. This is what I feel I can do for myself to lead by example, to learn about my cultural practices and adapt to today's society. So I call myself an urban helper. You know how there's helpers,
Nice.
traditional helpers. I'm an urban helper. I'm not a healer. I'm not anything like that, but I help. And then we go to the indigenous side, to the cultural, the real, 100% spiritual people who live off the land, and that's the kind of helpers they are. So
Mm-hmm.
both worlds all the time. It's always your best to balance any way you can, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. So I work with the helpers, and I call myself, okay, well, I'm an urban helper, so how can we work together to help our youth and help our people to educate and do the real growth and learning? So yeah, that's what I do.
Of course. Alrighty. Uh, yeah. And helping urban and rural Indigenous kids return to the teachings of their ancestors by
Yes,
helpers who are on the same journey.
yes.
Okay, awesome.
Leading by example, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Ooh, hear that one. Why should parents and school staff encourage sobriety amongst youth and teens?
Because a long time ago, we never had drugs and alcohol. A long time ago, we didn't have to rely on drugs and alcohol. It's looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, what can we do to lead by example for those youth? It's one thing to say, don't drink, don't do drugs and all that, and then go around the
Mm-hmm.
corner and get drunk and high. But
Yeah.
it's another thing to say, hey, what can we do besides drinking, besides doing all this stuff that'll help you feel good, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual? So it's encouraging the not normal, right? Because it's tough, because being a motivational speaker, all of a sudden there's all these weed shops on all these corners.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean we're going to open up alcohol, liquor stores in all of our indigenous communities just because that's legal too? So it's saying, hey, you know what? Lead by example, be truly 100% clean and sober, and focus on yourself, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Play basketball, learn things that make you feel good. Give yourself medicine in a healthy way, because that's the true way, I believe. Being true to yourself is true sobriety.
Mm-hmm. I agree. When I went to high school, six out of the 10 kids in the smoking quarter on school property were Indigenous. So practicing the not normal, it's definitely not normal to not smoke and drink.
Right? And then people look at you like, oh wow, that guy's indigenous and he's not high and he's not drunk. I get that a lot, especially doing hip hop music, right? They assume, oh, this guy smokes weed and he gets drunk. And when I say April 14th, I'm going to be 14 years sober, they look at me and like, what? So
Congratulations.
thank you.
All right. All right. And what are healthy methods of confronting stress and trauma for Indigenous?
Being out on the land, and I'm not saying like go have vision quests every week. I'm saying go for walks, go to the water, go to the gym, make outdoors your gym. I see a lot of indigenous people using the outdoors as their gym now, and that's huge. So when it's cold, go to the gym. When it's warming up, go outside, go to the land. That's the natural way to cure anxiety. That's a natural way to cure any depression. That's a natural way to live. But it's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to get caught up in all the, I have anxiety. Oh my gosh, I have anxiety. Well, everybody has anxiety. It's how you deal with it. And being outside, like when I'm going outside with my kids right after we're done this, and being outside is the best way to cure all this ADD, elemental P labels. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I believe. That's just me. I'm not a counselor or anything. I'm just a helper.
Totally. Good to hear. All right. Turn off this TV, people.
Turn off the TV and get off your devices unless you're watching this.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
what ways can youth prepare themselves for post-secondary?
Oh man. Read, and show up. Show up, show up, show up, show up. Even because it's gonna go by like this. And once you get to post secondary, it's gonna go by like this, and then your hobbies are gonna change. So read, stay grounded, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritually. Do what you can in healthy ways to ground yourself. And that could be smudging, going for walks, talking to elders. but always ground yourself. Always go back to who you are. And you could even go further and say, okay, well, I'm going to learn about the stories of where I'm living right now. I'm going to learn about the stories of the land because that'll balance you out. And once you learn about the stories and learn about the medicines, once you're even done school, no one could take that away from you. So, yeah.
Okay, alrighty. Uh, CASP is a free facilitator, speaker, and multi-award winning hip-hop artist. Kukshtetchum CASP for speaking with me today about breaking the cycle.
Thank
What,
you
oh,
so much.
was there any words of wisdom that you wanted to speak?
Do your best to let go of what's not serving you purpose in your life and focus on who you are as an individual because that's the best thing you can do for yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And that's all I gotta share.
All right. When's your next album? When's your next song release?
Well, my next song is coming at the end of January. It's called Streets of Heaven, and it's about my brother who passed away. And it's about
Condolences.
anybody who's lost somebody. So it's medicine for people who's ever lost anybody. And then my new album is going to be coming out hopefully by the end of February. And it's going to be my first album in about 7 years I'll put out. So.
Okay. Where do we find it?
You could find my music on Spotify. You could find it on Apple Music. You could find music videos on YouTube. Just look up CASP. So that's K.A.S.P. Abbreviation. Yes, we will go.
Alrighty. Thank once again.
Thank you.
Kukshtetchum to our viewers. Like, comment, and follow our Facebook page, Valley News Channel. Valerie Diamond runs Quest. May you always be present. And Mawiktomin. See you later.